Day 8. Connect on a soul level to remove disharmony in relationships. Any relationship can go through a difficult patch. This meditation will show you how to improve a relationship on a soul level without that person even being present. For this meditation to work, you have to be willing to temporarily let go of seeing that person's behavior as wrong or right, but instead perceive things from a higher perspective, with a recognition that everyone moves towards good-heartedness when they receive love and good wishes. This is not about condoning behavior you don't agree with or not dealing with difficult situations, but rather helping the other person to come home to their higher self. Giving good wishes to another is also healing for us. It cleans out any animosity that might have built up towards them, which helps restore our peace of mind. First, become aware of your thoughts. See what's been going on in your mind. In particular, notice any reactions that are still emotionally charged. Whatever you see, don't criticize yourself for not being good enough or doing things wrong. Be reassuring and kind to yourself. Next, rise above the hum of your thoughts. Lift yourself above your thoughts as though passing above a cloud into the gentle light of the higher self, the soul. Immerse yourself in the peace of the higher self. Immerse yourself in that sense of harmony with all existence. call to mind someone that there's a little disharmony with at the moment. As you call them to mind, try to go beyond their physical appearance to the heart of who they are. They are a soul, just like you, and just like you, they want to be respected and appreciated for who they are, for their personal qualities, even more than how they look or the role they play, for someone to see the best in them. Be aware of your thoughts and feelings about this person. You understand how the thoughts you have for this individual are felt by them. Your expressions and body language convey a lot, but they will also directly sense your feelings towards them. In this state of soul consciousness, ask this person what they want from you to make them feel safe and well. It could be respect. It could be acceptance. It could be love or forgiveness. Be genuinely open to that person. And don't rush this part. Be patient and listen for an answer. By being open and waiting for an answer, you'll be able to perceive their feelings on a soul-to-soul level. Ask them what they want from you to make them feel safe and well. Are you now willing, on a soul level, to fulfill that need? This person may have hurt you and be 100% wrong, but they still need your respect and acceptance. This will mean a great deal to them. Allow them to feel safe, at ease with themselves, and to move closer to their higher self. If you are willing to give unconditionally, any disharmony between you can start to dissolve. In the next few moments of silence, on a soul-to-soul level, give this person whatever form of good feelings and kindness they need from you. After this meditation, you might feel a dramatic change in your feelings for this person. If not, you might need to repeat the exercise 2 to 3 times to feel that step change. But if you persist and are patient, that change will happen. Notice if that affects the dynamic of the relationship in any way. At the very least, it may help you to see things from a higher perspective and help you tackle whatever you need to do with a clearer head and a more compassionate heart.
Hello everyone, warm welcome to Sustaining Kids with Love and very warm welcome to Silicon Valley Brahma Kumaris. Om Shanti. Hopefully you're all having a lovely weekend and today is class number 3, week number 3 in this particular series. We've been talking about various different ideas on sustaining kids with love. Last week we talked about how to raise kids and sustain kids in an effortless manner, how parenting is meant to be fun and effortless. We talked a lot about that. We'll continue our discussion on another part of parenting, how we can sustain with love. And as always, we will first get started with a guided meditation. Kindly invite you to join me. Let's sit in a comfortable position and take few deep breaths. Freedom is powerful. Freedom is blissful. We all want to be free. And we are free physically. We are free financially. Most of us are free. But the most important freedom is emotional independence. Nobody should be able to touch me and my feelings. I am love. I am joy. I am peace. And nobody, including my body, should have the power to move me from the seat of my truth. That is true freedom, liberation in life. That nothing or no one can stop me from being loving. But unknowingly, or sometimes knowingly, we lock ourselves in the cage of anger, sadness, and then we blame others that because of them I'm upset, Because of them, I am disturbed. But I lock myself up. I only can free myself up. I have the key to be emotionally free. But we say no. They behave in this manner. They told me this. They didn't obey me. They were rude to me. They cheated upon me. They lied to me. And that is why I'm upset. That is people's behavior, people's words, people's attitude have the power to move me away from my truth. They have the power to lock the love that I have in my heart. That means my heart cannot produce love anymore. And this is why love becomes conditional. That is, I'm no more free to love. I need conditions to be met before I can love. God liberates us from this kind of prison we put ourselves into. It is the mind that creates this prison. How can you love them? They are like this, they are like that. But God says, you are my child, child of the ocean of love. You are nothing but love. Your language is love. Why would you let go of your truth, of who you are? Because somebody let it go. They decided not to be loved. Why would you copy that? It is only with the power of love we can help others. Otherwise, I become like them and I lead my life without love, without my truth. And any time we move away from our truth, we are suffering. I cannot control others' behaviors, others' words, others' action. I can only inspire them to change by not changing from my truth. But if I also become like them, then there is nobody left to teach and show the path to transformation. So expectations from others make us dependent on them, and we are imprisoned. We can't be happy anymore. We can't love people unconditionally anymore. So today I accept people as they are. Even though they might not be right, I accept. I continue to give them my love. And then I inspire them to change. I'm a powerful soul who's completely free with the right to be happy, to be loving, and to be peaceful. Welcome everyone to Sustaining Kids with Love. And today in the last class, we will talk about fostering pure love for kids. That is what we will focus on. Last week, we were talking about effortless parenting and how we talked a lot about keeping that love emerged. That is when parenting becomes very, very fun and easy, right? So, easy and effortless parenting, that love that we have for our family needs to be very emerged. So we'll just wrap up that particular class with few more thoughts, and then we will move into today's class about pure love, which is very empowering and selfless and unconditionally loving. So first is, whenever we feel that this is just becoming too much, that I have to work too hard for my family, I have to do so much for my family, or I'm sacrificing this for family, or whatever it is, ask yourself, for whom are you making all of this effort, right? Whether it is working very hard at office or at home, or, earning that money and taking care of the finances and everything, of driving them around, doing all the chores. For whom are you doing? You're doing it for your own family. You're doing it for your loved ones. Very important to keep that. Otherwise, sometimes we forget and we are like, this is just too much. So that first acknowledgement is important. Second, yes, as a parent, we do have a lot of responsibilities. It is a choice whether I find responsibility as a burden on my back, a heavy weight on my back, or I think of it as a crown on my head. Each of these jewels that you're seeing, these pearls and gems, they are the responsibilities. The more gems are on your crown, the more beautiful that crown will look. So at Brahma Kumaris, we are taught, think of your responsibility as a crown on your head. Only an emperor is given the crown. A king could have, or an emperor could have 6 kids. It's not necessary that the elder one will always get the crown. It is the worthy one. It is the capable one. So typically, even in a house, there is one person who's a lot more worthier, a lot more capable, a lot more skilled. They end up getting a lot more responsibilities. So never consider yourself to be a laborer who has to carry the burdens, but think about all the responsibility as a jewel on your crown. You are the worthy chosen one, and we will see how this emperor gets the most rewards, right? And what is the return of investment that you're getting? So this is a question for all of you. When we are fulfilling so many responsibilities at home, what is the return of investment of that? What do we get in return? If you could share on the chat, what is the return we get of taking care of the responsibilities? Love, okay. Fulfillment of something we've accomplished in our life, okay. Very good. But most important is blessings. For example, for all the things my parents or grandparents did, I never said thank you to them. I never went and hugged them that you've done so much for me. I never did that. But to date, my heart says thank you. Thank you for all the beautiful things you did for me selflessly. So, yes, even in those days while they were doing everything, I never called it out. I never said thank you. But there was a deep realization to date. I say, man, my summer holidays were so special, such light and so much of good food, hot food, always giving. And we would complain, hey, this is not nice. Why didn't you make that dish? You should have made this. No complaints. They would keep giving and giving and giving. right? So that blessing is to date going out from my heart. Yes, those souls are not in that body anymore, but they're still receiving it. And blessing is one gift that really strengthens the soul. When even medical science says we don't have anything we can do to save this person, it is the blessings that you've accumulated. They will save you. And that is what science calls as miracles. I don't know how this person came out of death. This person was declared dead, but he's back up running and healthy. So science calls it miracle. Spirituality says, yes, miracles exist, and that miracle is nothing but the blessings you accrued. So when you see these responsibilities that you have of all the daily chores, if you see them as gems that you're accumulating in the form of blessings, you will never find yourself to be a laborer. I always consider myself to be so lucky that I have so many responsibilities at home. Yes, there is days when this mind will become very evil and will talk ill and all of that. But overall, I know that I'm the chosen one because I am capable. So throughout the day also, I will keep checking, is my heart warm with love for the family? Or am I feeling that stress and that frustration? What is it, right? So check and change. Very important as parents for us to keep that love emerged. So in the name of love, nothing is very difficult. It becomes very easy. Anytime you have questions, feel free to raise your hand, or anything you'd like to share, please feel free to raise your hand. Happy to take questions or your thoughts. We will move on to today's class where we are talking about pure love, right? That is unconditional and empowering. This is what pure love is. This is the biggest difference between God's love and human love. Human love is generally, there is some selfish element. I should be heard. My opinion should be respected. What I'm saying should be done. I am right. I have more experience. There is a lot of expectation, which is a part of selfishness, right? And there is also conditions on when we are loving. God's love is unconditional. And this is the kind of pure love that empowers and strengthens the child. So we will talk a bit more about this as we go forward. First of all, always remember that selfless love is a security blanket for kids. Selfless love basically means I am giving without any expectation. Whether you behave well or don't behave well, my love will be there for you. I don't expect anything, but out of love, I will certainly correct you, I will certainly advise you, but my love for you will not stop. And it is such a liberating feeling when you have this kind of love for others, that nobody's behavior can change my truth. Right? And this is such a beautiful picture of parent putting that blanket on the child, totally protecting the child. And I always say this in parenting classes that today's world is not a very perfect place for kids to grow. There is a lot of subtle bullying, there's a lot of peer pressure, a lot of competition. It's not a healthy place to be. And to find good friends is a big challenge for kids these days because there's always this jealousy. There's no openness and transparency anymore. So in that kind of environment, if even in the parent side, if there are a lot of expectations, then the kids are really feeling very, very threatened because it's only the love that makes you feel secure. Love that has no boundaries, no conditions. So this is a blanket that we can all put on kids, and we will talk more on how we go about doing it. So one big thing about love is I love because of, or I just love. We are the ones that add conditions. I like this person a lot because I don't like this person because, right? We have a lot of this person is just, man, too good. And then we'll start describing all the reasons for it, right? This person is so sweet. This person has been helpful. This person has done this. This person has not done that. So we have a lot of limits we put on the kind of feelings we have for others. God is the only one who's feeling for every soul. All the 8 billion soul is equal love. God doesn't have more and less love. His heart doesn't go up and down. God's heart is a constant line of love. So this is such a beautiful statement. I love because of, or I just love. Even as parents, we have, right? Between the two siblings, we'll say, I like this about the sibling. I like this one more. This other one is such a trouble. They're always creating problems. Whereas this other one is very nice. Means what? I love because versus I just love. I love this kid more because they are mine, or I like this kid more because they're my nephew. This kid I don't like so much. They're the neighbor's kid. They seem to be going ahead of my child I don't like. I just love because that is who I am. My nature is love. So expectations, like we talked about it in the meditation, if you paid attention, that is what is creating conditional love. When parents have expectations, and in that expectations, we are tying our emotions. Maybe we have a lot of expectations, and maybe we have two kids or more kids. Maybe one or two of the kids they agree, whereas the other kid is not agreeing. So is my love becoming conditional? Do I like one kid more because they agree more, they obey more? So typically these expectations are, I will love my kid I love my kid when kids follow my directions. I love them when kid is sweet and well behaved. I love them when the kid does well in academics and extracurriculars. When they don't argue with me about anything, when they are very obedient. I don't like kids when they argue, when they talk back. I like them when they check with me before making decisions. How come they said yes to a friend and their lunch? I was planning something special. They didn't even ask me, they didn't even check with me. When my kid makes no mistakes, that is when I like them. These are very subtle. All of these thoughts and beliefs within, they might exist within us. We might not even know about it. Very important that we understand what are some expectations that we generally have with the kids. If you don't mind sharing, what are some expectations that you tend to have with your kids, and how do you go about dealing with it? If you can share it with everyone, what are some expectations that you would like to let go that cause your love to become conditional? If you don't mind sharing, please share with everyone. Okay, one of you here said mistakes are bound to happen. Learning from mistakes, what makes us grow in our lives. So let kid makes mistakes. Yes, very true. Mistakes help us grow. All right. Looks like you don't want to share any expectations that you might have, and hopefully they are these itself, but that's totally fine. Um, isn't it wrong not to expect? How would we indulge discipline? You know, expectations are where your emotions are attached to it, right? Versus your love is not dependent on those boundaries you create as house rules, right? So it's example, it could be that this is the bedtime, or this is what eating time, you're all supposed to be on the table, you're not supposed to eat on your bed. So these expectations are not really, I would call, where your emotions are dependent, right? You will still impose that, hey, you have to sleep by this time, hey, you have to come down and have your lunch, you can't take it to your room. You will still impose those conditions, but your love is not fluctuating. That means it's not an expectation. It's just the boundary and rule of the house, right? So expectation is what I basically mean is that your love is becoming conditional. So that's the difference between expectations and discipline. So your expectation, your love is more when they listen to you, care about me, and help me, right? Yeah. See, this is the thing, right? Like where kids might not always care, they might not always listen because they are having a lot more difficult life than us. It might seem our life is more difficult, but I feel today's generation, the kids are having a more difficult time. The kind of science and gadgets and everything that is exposed to them, even if we want or they want, they can't stay away from the gadgets because everything in school is also coming through the devices. There's a lot of distraction, there's a lot of bullying. In general, the environment itself is not very positive overall. Everybody, every soul is very tired and restless. Nobody has anything to offer. There are no true friends. And I'm not trying to pose an unnecessarily negative picture, but it is the reality. The true friendship really doesn't exist anymore. So that is why it is so important, instead of expecting from them, how can I always care about them? How can I always listen to them? And how can I always help them take ownership of their own work and learn ownership? Okay. So why love becomes conditional? We just saw it. This picture is saying, I'll be so proud if you get an A on your test tomorrow, right? I'll be so proud. This is a conditional parenting. In a way, we are telling the kids that this is when we like you more. And it becomes, they like it. They like to do. A lot of the kids, especially when they're young, they want to do everything to please the parents. But then in the subconscious mind, there is a lot of pressure on them because we are not telling them that we will not love you or will not be proud of you if you get a B grade. But it's a very subtle way of telling it. And that is what registers in their head, that if I don't get that, then I'm not going to be those apple of my parents' eyes anymore. I'm not going to be that special person, right? So yes, love becomes conditional when we have expectations. And because expectations cannot be always met, that is when love becomes totally conditional. When the expectations are met, that is when you get your A grade, when you listen to me, when you obey to me, when you help me out, when you care about me. All of these things need to be met, then I will be loving. So for kids, there is no that security that no matter what, my parents will always love me. That security is not there with them, which means their sleep is disturbed. This is very much at the subconscious level, that they're always restless. Imagine if they had this feeling that their parents will always love them, will always be there for them. How much more will be their confidence and their performance level? That my parents trust me, I can't break their trust. It is very different when they get that kind of love. But we ourselves feel, no, 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 if we give them this kind of love, they will get spoiled. Love never spoils them. It again still doesn't mean that they can do whatever they want. No, disciplines will be there, rules will be there, but my love is always flowing, even when you are breaking rules. But yes, the consequences of breaking rules I will impose, because laws are a sign of love. If I'm not trying to protect your personality, your future, then I don't love you. So yes, I will do everything to make sure that you are following the rules, and otherwise you face the consequences of not following the rules. But my love is always there for you. So one of the reasons of all of these expectations, cause of expectations, we also talked in the last class, is limited identification of the self, right? Parent consciousness, that I am the parent. And when will the parent feel honor in that identity? I will feel an honorable parent when the child is flawless, when everybody praises that child, when that child is called out for their academics or their extracurriculars or for their behavior. And any time this child is called out negatively, then I feel my identity is in a danger. So in order to honor our own identity, that I should be a good parent, my kid should do well, we then start having a lot of expectation, because if they don't meet that expectation, then my identity is in threat. I will be called a bad parent. So it is our own insecurity that causes us to create these expectations. And that is why at Brahma Kumaris, we are taught very deeply that all of these expectations, they will not go away till you know your true self. Parent is a limited identity that is very dependent on the kid's worthiness, on the kid's flawlessness. Meghna could be a bad parent, but doesn't mean she's bad as who she is. Because as a parent, we can only do so much. End of the day, the kid has their own destiny. You can't control it. You can only try your best to influence it, but yet who they will become, what they will become, you can't control no matter how much you try. That humility we need to have. And that is why when we tie ourselves to this identity, which has absolutely no control, we become very, very restless and we start creating too many boundaries, or you can say control on others. So it is not out of love. It is out of my own selfishness that I want my honor of being a good parent. So how do we get over these expectations that we have, right? It's only when you know your desireless truth, that you are not a parent. Parent is just the role that you are playing. And this is a very powerful quote which says, all desires are nothing but thirst of pure love, which can only be quenched by the ocean of love, God. All of these desires that we have are really an indication that we've not felt that true love. The more you feel that selfless, pure love, which none of us have received, we have not received it, because no human being in today's world has this kind of love. Maybe in grandparents to some extent, our generation's grandparents, maybe they had it, but it is getting lost day by day. So the one who has experienced that pure love, total acceptance, they are the ones who then become desireless. Another quote here, desires are like a shadow. If you try to catch a shadow, it runs ahead of you. And if you turn your face away from it, it follows you. Desires don't let us become a good person. One expectation you will have of your child, then more expectations will follow. Because now your whole life has become conditional. You're constantly creating too many boundaries for yourself. When can I be happy? When can I feel peace? When I can feel loved? When I can feel good parent? And it's a vicious cycle, never-ending cycle. And ending with a quote, be still, realize everything is already within, so you naturally renounce the desire to get it from others. This awakening that I am a soul and actor who's playing the role of the parent is very, very critical to get rid of all the desires. When you start seeing even the child as a actor's soul, just playing the role of the child, then love becomes natural. That expectations and controls and all of that, they start going away. And you reach more and more of that desireless truth. And this is when you start accepting everything as is. Exact opposite of expectation is acceptance. That no matter how much I try the kid to be a certain way or not to be a certain way, end of the day, they are going to be the way they want to be. And just reading this middle one here, understanding and valuing my own special part, I have the power to recognize the value of each individual. I accept each person who they are and free myself from expectation and experience my own, from expectations and experience my own independence. From blame, take responsibility to change myself. From judging, accept whatever is happening. Now, acceptance here again doesn't mean I approve, I agree with the child's behavior or words or their attitude. It means this is their current truth. I cannot change them just like that, but can I change my attitude? Can I change my emotions? And then how can I inspire them to change? Right? Very, very important that I don't tie my emotions to others' behavior. Accepting every situation means moving beyond the waste questions and focusing on how to transform it. Expectation is always questions, right? How could they do this? How could they lie to me? Why would they sit like this? Why would they not finish their homework? Why don't they listen to me? Questions means lot of expectations, zero acceptance. Acceptance means it is the way it is. What am I going to do about it? How am I going to keep my calm? That is what it means. And resisting the present situation is caging your creative powers. Freedom lies in accepting and embracing. So again, expectations are indeed like our own cage where we say, I can't be happy, I can't be peaceful till this expectation is met. So nobody else is responsible. I am putting myself in that cage of suffering. And only when I release that expectation and I accept people as they are, I have the freedom to be happy. So this is also very, very critical. Any questions so far? So all of those expectations we had earlier will change. I unconditionally love because I respect kids' choices even when I disagree. Yes, their generation, their mindset, their attitude is different. Their choice is completely different. I would not have bought that cloth, or I wouldn't have done my hair like that, or I would have not read that book. But today's generation is like that, so I respect their choice. Kids will not always be well behaved. They will have their own good and bad days, just like me. I can't expect them to always be well behaved. So accepting, right? My role is to support the kids to do their best. Yes, sometimes they will get good grades, sometimes they'll do well in extracurricular, other times they will not. What can I do to support so that they excel? They excel in academics, they excel in all the other activities. My kid is not agreeing with me, is not obeying me. That's okay. It's a good sign that the kids feel comfortable. They feel comfortable in raising voice and speaking their mind, which means they are not scared of me. Otherwise, if they're not speaking up at all, if they're not even raising their voice, it means I have totally overpowered them. So it's a good thing. They should not be having to come and check with me for every decision. They need to one day be independent, make their own decisions. It's good that they're learning how to make those decisions even without checking with me. So it's a good thing. I accept. kid should be flawless, that's an expectation, versus saying mistakes only make you humble. This is where you can learn and improve and grow. Mistakes open your eyes wide apart, saying, hey, these weaknesses exist in you, which are preventing your better version to come out. So they help us see our weak spots. So as a parent, instead of expecting everything, I can start accepting by changing the way I see everything, right? And then all the things show up in a different limelight. So, what are some things that weaken relationships and bring sorrow? Question for all of you. What weakens relationships and brings sorrow? What is one thing that will weaken our relationship with the kids and then bring sorrow? Need for controlling others' behavior. Yes, absolutely right. That will totally bring sorrow when we start overpowering others. One of the main deepest reason for why this relationship starts giving us sorrow and our love becomes weak is when our love is for what is perishable. When we focus on something that is perishable and give our love to something that is perishable, it is called attachment. And this is what leads to sorrow and disempowerment. So in our lifetime, we have many different kinds of relationships, right? We are in the family, we are a spouse, we are a parent, maybe we are a child, we are a sibling. Then we come out, there are some friends, there are strangers, there are acquaintances, there are colleagues. So many different kinds of relationships. But when our love is for what is perishable, then that kind of relationship is very disempowering and will cause sorrow. And we will see how this goes about, right? So attachment is a big cause of sorrow. And I would request all of you to kind of reflect as we are going through these slides, right? Like when you see that your child is going through some sickness or maybe some trouble in social elements or something, how are you as a parent? Are you staying strong and courageous, undisturbed? Or are you someone who's crying, who's very scared and worried what will happen to my kid now? This is a question I need to ask myself. Wherever there is attachment to that perishable factor, my child, we know that this relationship between parent and child is a perishable part because that relationship is based on the body, right? All of the physical relationship through the body, whatever relationships we've acquired, they're all perishable. Where there is perishable love for the perishable things versus the imperishable, do I love the child or do I love the soul behind the child? If I love the child means the body is in the mind, the face is in the mind, and everything about the face and the body is changeable. The character that is being played through that body is also changing. What is constant and imperishable is the soul. But majority of us is just focused on the body and the character they are playing, which is so many colors. It has rainbow colors. Rainbow at least have all beautiful warm colors, whereas they have shades of different colors, the characters that the body plays. So am I weak or am I courageous? If you love is for the soul, your love will be very courageous. You know nothing can happen to the soul. You with that courage will do everything to help that body as well, whether it is taking them to the doctor or just helping them, whether if they're aching, maybe you'll do some massages. Maybe if they're just having cold, you'll take those ice water cloths and put it on their forehead. You will do everything, but with courage, not with worry. Why? Because your love is for the imperishable one, not for the physical one, which is in the body of the child. What is your reaction when they are leaving for college? Are you possessive or undemanding? Are you like begging the child, oh, please don't leave us, don't go to a far off college, how will I live without you? Or are you totally relaxed, undemanding? You're so happy that they become to be an independent kid who can be on their own. A lot of the parents, when one of my kid was going to college and was going to very far off college, they were all telling me, what are you doing? You should ask them to live in California. I said, no, why? The kid did get into some California colleges, but he chose to go very far away. I'm like, totally fine. Love doesn't tie boundaries. Then it is selfishness, right? That I can't be without that kid. I have to see them regularly. Means what? I'm attached, emotionally attached. Versus for the child, it is good if they go and live by themselves in a far off place, learn how to be by themselves. Then it is I'm raising them to be an independent child. That is what is selfless love. Selfish love will be I want them to be close to me. What is good for me? I can't be without you. This is attachment. So are you possessive or are you undemanding? Attachment will cause you to be very possessive. You want them to be close. Patient or impatient, child is behaving rudely, throwing books, throwing things, not listening to you. Are you patient or are you impatient? If you are attached to the child, my child should obey to me, my property. It's almost like my property, not your property. Till the child is in that body and you are in this body, okay, your child will be called your child. It's not forever. That clarity needs to be there, then there is no attachment. Attachment causes emotional suffocation, lot of boundaries, lot of suffering. It is a sign of insecurity. Any kind of attachment is a sign of insecurity. As you can see here, parent feels love based on how the child is. So the child is filling the inner cup of the parent. It's a very insightful picture where the parent expects the kid to make them feel loved. So typically when we have this kind of attachment, we will have these kind of thoughts. My child should obey me. My child should not have to struggle. Would we want any child to struggle? We would not. But we know the reality, right? Without struggle, you will never be connected to the strength that exists within you. You will never be connected to all the ideas and brightness that exists within you to come out of the struggle. So struggles are always a blessing in disguise. So why would I ever not want my child to go through a struggle? Obviously, as a parent, I'm not going to say, I hope more problems come to my child's life. No, I will not. But I will never wish, oh, my child shouldn't have to struggle, my child shouldn't have any problems. Everybody should not have any problems. But these problems are a gift for us to grow stronger. My child should be closest to me. I've known parents who are jealous when their child is more closer to their grandparents or to their friends. They don't like it. They want the child to be closest to them and only them. This is a sign of insecurity. Also, this jealousy will come out after attachment. Only my child should be ahead. I don't know why other kids are receiving all the awards or why they are doing better than my child. My child is more worthy. This is something, which kind of breeds competition even in kids, because parents constantly ask, how come they got a better grade, or how come, they got selected in the team? How come you didn't? This kind of competition and jealousy, somehow the other parents end up instilling in the kids, and the kids then lose that true friendship, that they have with people. Because where there's competition and jealousy, there's no more friendship. It's all a fake relationship. So very important to see if in one way or the other we might be causing this. And then an attached parent will typically also worry that my child's health and future should all be good. I hope nothing happens to them. I hope they always stay healthy. This is where our emotions are totally dependent on the child, their behavior, their future, their emotions, their health of the body, their health of the academics, which is I am emotionally attached. This kind of love will not enable the child to grow. It is a very disempowering love, right? Because when I am not feeling love, when I am feeling sad or mad, I don't have anything to offer to the kid. So attachment causes this kind of suffocation and disempowerment because it makes us very insecure. And an insecure person will also make the other person feel insecure. Any questions, any thoughts that you'd like to ask? No questions? So another pictorial view of understanding this whole thing, right? If you think of attachment, like your love tank is totally dependent on the child's love tank. Now, love tank, by what I mean by that is the inner state of the child or the emotions of the child also disturb your emotions. So your tank is dependent on other person's tank. Then it becomes very difficult. I'm just reading a question here. How can one keep reminding this aspect of kid growing? It's, I think, daily study, daily meditation is very important for us to have these concepts clear. Daily reflecting on, our parenting method, parenting style. How was my reaction? Was I emotionally stable? These are some things that we need to reflect upon, journal upon, and then daily study that how can I change my behavior or my attitude. So typically attachment, what will happen is your love will be dependent on child's behavior, child's life. So if the child is having a terrible day, if they are in general not having a great life, means their love tank is leaking. Then typically a parent who's so dependent, so attached to the child, they will also start feeling the same emotions that the child is feeling. And because parent is now very disturbed, doesn't have anything to offer to the child, now this disturbance that parent is feeling, child feels it even more, because parent will most likely be getting irritated, will not talk to the child nicely. Now the child feels even more insecure. So child's behavior influence the parent. Now parents' influence is affecting the child. So there is no one who can come out of this misery, right? Child's emotions are affecting parent, parent's emotion is affecting the child. It's a vicious cycle. It's a negative environment. It's a viral loop. So to come out of it, I have to be independent emotionally. So even if the child is having an emotionally bad day, how can I as a parent not get affected by it? How can I keep my inner state full, my inner tank full of love, full of joy? This is the tool for this is indeed meditation. I'm reading a comment here. When I'm meditating in morning and decided on practicing in being in love and sending loving vibrations all day, I tend to be very irritating and angry. Any suggestions on practicing it to increase self-love and be in sense of satisfaction? Do everything calmly. See, till this, to some extent, it requires really a daily introspection on what is the cause of this irritation and anger that I have, that I need to know. Is it small, small things about the family, or is it my own self? Is it work? What is it that is causing all these things, right? And till you don't realize that you are peace, you are love, you are joy, till you don't awaken to that in a very deep manner, you will continue to look for it. Even if you do something for your child or your spouse or your parents, you will only do it so that they can give it back to you. We will continue to do all these expectations till we don't realize that everything that I need is within me, right? So I have to first of all understand what is that cause of irritation and anger, and how can I fulfill my own needs, my emotional needs. This idea itself to many people seems very hard to digest because they think relationship means give and take. It's okay to think like that. We all have the wisdom and the logic to understand things differently. But if this give and take relationship is not meeting your needs and you're all the time either upset emotionally because you feel you're giving a lot and you're not getting anything, it is a clear sign that this give and take relationship will never work. And it is not for majority of the people. They don't realize it. Some have realized it already. Others have not realized. They're still trying to give and take. Only I can give what I need. It is within me. And I will get what I need the more I start giving it to others. So, what is preventing me from giving? What is causing me to expect? This we have to do our own checking. Till I don't do that checking, it is very hard. To meditate also is very hard. So, detachment is what is needed. And this detachment comes when you think of yourself as this point of light, and connect to the Supreme, who's the only source of love and joy. No human soul can give you this because every human soul is expecting from the other human soul. So if you're expecting means what? You don't have it. So that is why when we connect to the source to fill our inner tank with love, then it automatically overflows. You won't even have to try giving love or try to be loving or nice. You don't have to try and say sweet words to your kids, but automatically your presence will make them feel loved. When you know that you are this independent entity who's a source of love and joy, then you are very secure. You are no more seeking the child to be in a certain way. Yes, as a parent, you will guide them, but your love will not stop. There's a huge difference, right? Guiding with expectations versus guiding with love. It's a huge difference. So even though the child might be crying and their inner tank is leaking, parents' overfilled tank of love and joy will fill even the child's. And parents' leaking has stopped, meaning child's emotion is not disturbing the parent anymore. They are detached. They're seeing themselves as a soul, and they're also seeing the child as a soul. Reading this comment on the chat, taking care of yourself, positive affirmation helps that you are a good parent and build up your emotions positive. It will automatically help you feel better, and that helps to pass positive vibes to kids. It's harder to do, but focused efforts can help to slowly gain self-love, self-confidence, self-worth. Thank you for those good points, really, really good and powerful points. Babu Satasya, appreciate your sharing your ideas. We are all out of time, so I'm going to stop here. If you have any other questions that you'd like to share or ask, feel free to raise your hand or put them on the chat. All right, we'll take a minute for a short meditation. Invite you to join me. There will be days when the mind is totally uncooperative. Even though I don't want anything, I don't want to have expectations, mind will be habituated and will create expectations. I can detach from that mind, which is creating boundaries for my love. The child might misbehave, and I decided that morning that I will not react. But the mind will habituatedly create thoughts. How can they be so rude? I need to correct them. Detach from those thoughts. Give it to the Supreme. Know that you are only love. Let that moment pass. And at a later time, you have to talk to the child. Talk. Otherwise, forget. Everybody has a bad day and a good day. I am love. Child is also love. An eternal love exists between all souls. At the physical relationship level, there will always be changes. But we have spiritual relationship which has no boundaries, no conditions, unlimited love. Thank you all for joining us today. Hope you have a wonderful week ahead. And we'll see you next week for the last class in Sustaining Kids with Love. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful week ahead.